And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
All right, welcome in. Special edition of TigerBait Live, going early tonight. Not only a night early, 2 hours earlier than normal, 6 o'clock due to men's basketball tonight, women's basketball tomorrow night, and I think it probably benefit a little bit of a benefit closer to the debacle in Gainesville to talk about what's going on with LSU football. And if you see the topic of the show, it's is the amount of criticism Brian Kelly is receiving justified? So, welcome in, buddy. How you like that title?
Good to see you. By the way, folks, you know, Mike and I take turns telling each other you were right, you were wrong. Look, folks, I was a little slow to pick up. You kind of sensed it. He picked 9-3, but he really wanted to pick 8-4. And the joke's been during the year, when LSU struggled, we'd have this joke, 7-5, 7-5. If they lose to Vandy, beat Oklahoma, they're 7-5. But bottom line is, Mike, there are a lot of reasons for that. We'll talk about it. One of the things I want to hit on tonight, and we really didn't make mention of it.
Just real quick, you know when I was saying 7-5? During bowl prep.
Well,
and a certain someone in LSU was listening to me say it and said, y'all are crazy because y'all don't know what's coming. And I know what he was referring to. It was Bo Davis. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way just the hire of Bo Davis is going to fix everything that's wrong with this team. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, what I was just getting ready to say is that at the line of scrimmage, LSU's been a disappointment. Now, look, we talked about the defensive coaches. That 5 all new defensive coaches. They're going to recruit better. They're going to get players in here, but they were trying to make chicken salad out of chicken poop. I think we all know that. But man, I'm looking at the overview, and the biggest disappointment to me, and Brian Kelly mentioned this at the beginning of the fall camp, we're going to pull our tackles. We're going to pull our linemen. It's going to be the strength of our team, and we're going to utilize those guys to set up an offense. I go back, Mike. I don't know who let Marlon Martinez go, but this was a 6'5", 330-pound center. He was splitting time with Charles Turner. When Turner was hurt, he was the center, and for some reason, somebody got the red ass. He wanted more money or whatever. They let him go to Mississippi State, and that is a big part of the problem right out of the gate. So KYP is know your personnel. I tweak it and say KYFP, know your freaking personnel. So that departure has come back to bite them in the butt. The 2 tackles now. Will Campbell most assuredly is going to go pro and still be a first-round pick. But I'm now on this mindset, you got to get Emory Jones and some of these guys that have some eligibility left to come back. Emory Jones could be a bell cow on that offensive line. I don't think he's ready for the league. He could use another. So you got to re-recruit some of these guys that are thinking about going, and then you got to make a home run with the recruits in 2 weeks from tomorrow. But Mike, when you sit here, know your personnel. I'm looking at some of the stats, and you talked about criticism. There was a 4th down play, 4th and 1, and they've got Trey'Dez freaking Green as the lead blocker on the outside. How many times have we said Trey'Dez Green is not a blocker? He is a receiver. They want to put 20 pounds on him and make him a big 255-pound tight end, 260-pound tight end. It's not going to happen. Use him for what he has, but what are you doing using him?
It can't happen. It can happen, but he ain't going to put it on now.
He's going to play basketball. He's not going to put any weight on. So that's what we're talking about.
What's the over and under on how many weeks that lasts?
Well, I don't know, but my point of it is that, and then you got Chris Hilton. Bless his heart, he comes back. So now you're not throwing the ball to Trey'Dez Green, which you did 4 weeks ago, and he's catching everything, had a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, catches everything with his hands, and you bring in Chris Hilton, who hadn't caught a cold in 2 years and continues to mistime his jumps. So I got to tell you, the heading, There's criticism because they've not done a good job with the personnel. And thank God some of these safeties are going to be graduating. Not to make personal remarks about them, but seriously, this safety play, they've got to get better on the back end.
There's more than a few.
And so there's enough blame for everybody.
I'm glad their eligibility's up.
I know who you're talking about.
Shane Lacoste. It's justified, highest paid coaching staff in the country, and you put together 3 losses in a row, unacceptable. Y'all do me a favor, hit the like button. And of course, look, obviously we're going at an odd time slot. Probably a whole lot of regulars don't know that we're going live tonight. Do me a favor, please share the show to your social media, your Facebook feed, your X, and even text it out to some of your fellow LSU fans. Let them know we're live and we're going to go for a full hour. And so no cojones, Kella. Good evening, Mike and Buddy and fellow TigerBait BFFs. Some fans always have a knee-jerk reaction, and they don't think clearly. Like the saying goes, you appear smart until you open your mouth. Look, I think a lot of the criticism is justified, but I also think that he's not going anywhere. And with a recruiting class that he has coming in, he's going to have at least 2 more years. And if in 2 years he's not in the playoffs, they're going to make a move and they're going to buy out whatever that amount is.
Well, wait, so you got to educate me. So he was saying people that jumped into the gun on the
yeah, I mean, look, this, if you're reading X and message boards and Facebook groups and our message board or any other websites message boards, you got fans that are going crazy. And look, he's not going anywhere. And you better, get on board and be willing to follow this team and see how he can get it right on track. He was on with Feinbaum, and Feinbaum said, well, you haven't, you had all these years, and if you had anything like this, well, what was this 2014 year where he had a bad season and he got rid of, in fact, he made a move on Denbrock that year, right?
Uh-huh.
And what, did he have 5 losses that year or more? How many did he have in 2014?
It was a bad year.
Yeah. And so he's been here before. He's got a top recruiting class coming in. Got a nice war chest for Austin Thomas to spend some money. And but it's going to be a process. And I think next year's going to have some more pain. Unless they they have a slew of home runs and triples in the transfer portal. You can't, I mean, what would you grade the transfer portal the last 2 years for him? Would you give it a C grade after you've seen how they performed?
Well, last year, especially with the corners that did play out, and look, you asked him about the transfer portal. He wants to build it with high school recruiting, but I think what Mike was stressing and talking about is that you probably need a center in the portal. I'm a little different than most people. I firmly believe with the language on the field and the play distribution and the reps, I think Caleb Jackson is going to go somewhere after this year. I don't think he's going to stick around another year for Frank to tinkle in his Cheerios and never play. So Shelton Sampson, he could leave. Right? You got 8 or 9 guys that can leave. So you're going to have some departures. You got to get people back. Some people are floating out. Harold Perkins had made a decision. I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know what his draft status is, but they have got to re-recruit these guys. But they're going to have to get you got to get a safety in the portal. I think you need a running back. Tell me a running back. You watch all the games on Saturday. How many of these running backs could start for Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, any of these teams? You got to get better there. And you've been talking about it. Cortez Hankton needs to bring some wide receivers in here that he can develop. Aaron Anderson, Joe got him the ball the first 3 plays of the game.
I have not been overly. I mean, look, if you had the Corey Moore still on board, we'd be singing a different tune. But he hasn't loaded the wagon with a bunch of crazy marquee wide receivers since he got here. Everything that's there that has arrived new since BK's come to town were transfer portal guys.
Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson.
Kyron Lacey from ULL.
Kyron Lacey.
Aaron Anderson from Alabama. And that was a Frank Wilson. That had nothing to do with Cortez Hankton.
And listen, we're not trying to beat up on Chris Hilton, but if you want to get him involved in the game, we saw this in the fall camp. Chris Hilton would be flanked out. Nuss would get the ball, throw it right out to Chris Hilton. They'd have two guys blocking for him, and he'd run. He has mistimed the jumps. I think they've thrown 7 deep balls for him this year and has not caught a one. And by the way, Nuss threw it right on the money late, and he dropped it. Dropped the ball against Ole Miss at the end of the game last year. So my point is that I don't think they've done a good job of playing the right players. Deshaun Spears might be hurt, but how he didn't see the field last weekend. And now, Mike, the other thing that we have to discuss tonight is that you've got some discipline issues. You put the green dot helmet on Sage Ryan, and yet for some reason he's suspended for the first quarter. That doesn't sound to me like leadership. And then, of course, on the touchdown run, Week said one side, everybody went one side, they didn't communicate it. So they've got to do a better job, got to call plays better, got to quit trying to kick field goals, get better play calls inside the red zone. But let me tell you something, folks. Vandy's got 2 weeks to get ready for this game. And if you don't do a better job, Coach Baker, in that defensive front and making Diego Pavia hurt, I'm talking about hit him, make him feel that when he runs. This kid has it. And they had the football 40 minutes to Alabama's 20 when they beat them earlier in the year. That's the first time Vandy ever beat a number one like that. So, look, we're sitting here talking about things that they could have done better, but this is a combination. This is coaches and this is players. It's not just one aspect.
Yep. Dane Bergeron with a super chat. Thank you, Dane. Those who continue the narrative about the 38 scholarship players BK inherited, LSU is better in BK's first season than his third season.
Well, they made it to Atlanta, and that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. And you also had Jaden Daniels. And even though 18 wasn't, 22 wasn't his 23, he was a difference. He was a difference.
But that first year, they also brought a lot of transfer portal guys.
That did pan out.
Remember the corners that came in and played. And so, look, folks, it's a change in the landscape. And you constantly have to stay on these kids. I'll tell you what, when you start talking about Tiger Stadium, I'll ask you, how many empties Saturday night?
I don't know. This is going to be overly.
I don't either.
But I will tell you this: if a guy's a deer hunter, he's going deer hunting.
But if they've already paid for the tickets, I think they're going to show up.
They're getting rid of them.
6:45 this weekend, SEC Network, 6 o'clock finale on ESPN against Oklahoma. You want to show up, but we'll see. I'd like to see him go 8-4 and then have a great tomorrow, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Great silent period. They got to hit a home run and cannot afford a bunch of defections.
Hey, Dane, thank you for that big time.
I can't believe Snake didn't mention Frank's rotation at running back.
NUNC, $5. Thank you for that super chat. Notre Dame fan here for the blood sports. Turns out Kelly is exactly what he said he was. Perfectly serviceable coach. Can't seal the deal. Look, we're going to see on that NUNC.
As a Notre Dame fan?
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not like he's got more years left, and he also didn't leave your coach an empty cupboard, right?
Notre Dame was a shit show at some point, and Brian Kelly got it up and played for the Natty. Okay,
yeah.
They got their ass beat by Alabama, but there is a lot of hate. By the way, I went back to the post game,
and by the way, Brian Kelly with a much lesser teams coached his Notre Dame team to some wins over some LSU teams that they had no business beating
twice.
And why was that? Because of coaching. It wasn't talent, right?
But you know
the coach for LSU on the other side of the field with his mouth open, you know who I'm talking about, had no business beating. Notre Dame should have never won those bowl games against LSU.
But they did tell all of us, this is what you're going to get. but I don't think they have appreciated what he did for Notre Dame. They are jilted lovers, and the jury is still out on Marcus Freeman. But the bottom line is that BK does not have a gaudy record against top 10 teams. BK does not have a great record when he has time to prepare. And there's no explanation for the egg they laid against Vanderbilt. Against Bama with 2 weeks to prepare. But that being said, I just find it interesting that Notre Dame folks come to your site more than they even go. There is a big-time hate for BK.
Booker's rebirth. BK doesn't have that many years. Oh, he's got plenty of years left. I don't know what state you think we're in. This isn't Texas. Nobody's buying out $68 million. He's got at least 2 and maybe more, but at least 2 minimum. And he's got a top recruiting class coming in with the number 1 quarterback in the country committed. Now, and I see nothing that leads me to believe Bryce Underwood's going anywhere but LSU. So now if something were to happen there that crazy in the next couple of weeks, then I might sing a different tune. But does that mean that I'm picking LSU to go 10-2 or 11-1 next season? No, I am not. But and I will say this, and I said that on our post game. The reason why LSU is in this hole is because of poor hires by Brian Kelly when he got here. And so this is basically really almost like his first year, because it's his first year with a new defensive staff with some quality coaches. And those guys had to start from scratch.
Well, his first year with both coordinators, his first year with the quarterback. And that's the reason they were preseason ranked 13 instead of 5. Jaden Daniels coming back for his senior year, his 5th year. They were preseason 5. Had a great offense and Heisman Trophy winner and all kinds of records right under Burrow, but had no defense. And so I think you hit the nail on the head. The defensive staff and the defensive coaches, I'm not going to demean any of those, but that was just crazy bringing in those guys. A lot of times when you make a change, Mike, a guy you want, he's already tied in. He can't get out. His family doesn't want to move. I mean, it's not as easy. They've got the defensive guys in place. But the question I think we all have, what do you do moving forward with play calling? He's getting more and more involved. And here's the real kicker. Let's just put it out there. You got to get Nuss fixed between the ears. Nussmeier's got plenty of talent. You put the tape in on what he did the first 4 or 5 games. He is now struggling, and the game is going way too fast for him. So whether you talk to a sports psychologist, whether you give him different plays or whatever, but Mike, he's feeling that rush. He's not stepping up. He's not doing a lot of things he did. Still throwing off the back foot, which I know you've been talking about but you've got to get Nuss and his confidence back. Carson Beck just got it back for Georgia somehow. Now, he's been playing football and starting more, but you got to somehow get Nuss right mentally and physically before LSU goes forward with this football team.
Jane Bergeron with a super chat. Buddy, Dr. Daniels says Frank needs to stay recruiting and stay off the sidelines. LSU needs a competent running backs coach. Wow.
Well, look, here's the thing what I was trying to say. Mike, I watch a lot of college games, and I see a lot of running backs, and LSU has got to get back into the tradition of having 3 or 4 guys. They're going to play running back by committee. So your gut feeling, Trey Holly, does he come back, and is he talented enough? I always thought he was a little small at this level, but do you think he could be a factor at running back if he gets squared away for next year?
I think he can, but I want to see what Caleb Jackson ends up doing. You could be right.
I don't want to see the kid leave, but he's not getting any PT.
When are we going to find out? Is John Henry coming back for another year?
Yeah. Well, he's had such bad luck.
Yeah.
But bottom line is,
I want that kid to have a successful surgery, and really, he deserves a fantastic year. If anybody's deserving of something great, it's him.
Hey, he was the best North-South runner they had at the beginning of the year.
I feel awful for him.
Yeah, no doubt. But we're just talking about personnel, and you got to get them here, but you got to play them. And Mike, let's address the other elephant in the room, okay? Something's wrong with LSU when you are at this point in the season and you can't get a better guard than Move Bingo right now. They've had 2 weeks to put somebody else in there, and they haven't found a guy. I thought Bo Bordelon would get a chance. Obviously, he's not ready to do it. We thought that they'd move Emory Jones to right guard and put Weston Davis at right tackle. Hadn't done any of that, no experience. But you got to help that guy if you're going to play him. There was no help for him. That big D lineman was eating him up morning, noon, night, the whole night.
They're picking who they want to feast on. It's either Chester, him, or both.
Well, and so we thought that they were doing great guns on the offensive line. Man, you get a couple of injuries and you don't. Marlon Martinez is one of the real reasons. If he would have been at center, then you'd have DJ Chester as a backup. Now you got to make him play as a freshman. Yep. So a lot of transition, and it's not that it can't get fixed, but you got to admit, folks, LSU on left guard and center, a lot to be desired right now.
All right.
Hang in there, Mubinga, but you got to be better, man.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Got a brand new attitude, like bing bang boom on a pink balloon, like I just do what I wanna do, like ooh, ooh, brand new.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
But you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There it is, 855-PRIDE-16. Of course, TigerBait's the official roofing company of TigerBait, Pride Roofing, 855-PRIDE-16. When you call them for your free roof inspection, that's either roofs, industrial, commercial, or residential. Say TigerBait, and you're going to get TigerBait Premium free for a year. And there's a bunch of you that have recently gotten that deal, and I haven't heard back from you. Check your spam folder in your inbox. I've been emailing you so you can get your earned free TigerBait for a year. Check your spam box. All right.
Hey, Mike and them do the whole gamut from A to Z. Once again, not only commercial and residential, but metal roofs still very hot. Look, all we ask is you give us an opportunity. You're not going to see us on TV with a silly-ass commercial every 30 minutes. We're no nonsense. We're old school. Do a great job. Get there early. Take care of business. Sharpen the pencil. And the discount that he is guaranteeing everybody. Once again, repeat that because I don't think people realize what a deal that is.
Yeah, if you have on letterhead a bid from a competitor, he will beat it by $150. So Mustang Pictures, BK mentioned science. Science supported Nautilus inventor Arthur Jones' training method, saying it could make you bigger and stronger than conventional lifting. But when Schwarzenegger and his buddies tried it, they lost size and strength despite the science data. Well, I know something about that, actually. Arthur Jones, which was then perfected by Dorian Yates, Mr. Olympia in the 90s, and I think probably the best Mr. Olympia of all time, used what they called the HIT method, which was Mike Mincer perfected it. And, of course, Dorian Yates did what he wanted to do. Now, that's bodybuilding. But the amount of muscle he packed on, of course, he was using a lot of gear with that, which they all did. And that dude only spent 30 to 45 minutes in the gym every workout. But, you know, that's a different type of lifting than the Olympic lifting that we've been talking about with Gail Hatch. And, of course, Tommy Moffitt's a Gail Hatch disciple, as are a lot of collegiate strength and conditioning coaches from coast to coast. But I know someone brought up my question on Monday and him talking about the data that he has. I mean, what do you expect me to do? I'm not going to say, can I see it? They're not going to provide that.
But it's not transferring over to the field, Mike.
Yeah.
LSU at 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 doesn't have somebody strong enough to just line up and knock you back. They're getting knocked back. Their pad level is not good. They're not meeting up. They're not hungry enough. And that is one of the biggest problems of this year's team, the physicality. Jacques asked him 2 weeks ago. You asked him once. Forget the science bullshit. Do you watch LSU and think they're physical this year?
No, but here's if you remember the shows I would do with you when I was getting after Moffitt.
He got stale. He did.
But it was also like, remember what I would always say? Moffitt's working what is in front of him that they've recruited, and each kid has their own genetics. So, when you can't make Lewis Neal a monster. Lewis Neal is a very undersized defensive lineman. There's a difference between a Lewis Neal and a Glenn Dorsey and I'm thinking of
you got a lot of them.
Yeah, Jaquelin Roy. Jaquelin Roy versus a Marlon Favorite. 2 inside defensive linemen. What's the difference if you do them on bench press and their long limbs? The length, the distance they have to go on a squat or any type of pressing movement. But all those numbers are relative to each one of them. Some guys are really strong in the weight room. Some aren't. But like Buddy says, it's you're not seeing it on the field. And when you have these collapses in the 3rd and 4th quarter, what does that tell you? Well, it can be partially conditioning, but probably the bigger factor is that they have no depth. They're not able to rotate guys in, on top of poor coaching decisions and inability to get it done in the red zone.
Look, those guys
the defense falling apart. I mean, the defensive line just doesn't have any depth. I mean, the LSU's defensive front seven, after a while, they're out of gas.
Name me one guy on that offensive and defensive line that is physical. Is Will Campbell a physical left tackle?
I think they're finesse. They're all finesse.
And this has been for 3 years. So, Coach, you might talk about the science, but you better get bigger, stronger, faster, and meaner in the line of scrimmage moving forward. And I think you can do it recruiting. But, look, you know more of the ins and outs of the lip. All I hear is that you want to have a strong core. You want to use the pad level. But I don't know the last time I saw somebody pile driving somebody 10 yards down the line of scrimmage. Will Campbell and Emory Jones.
I think there's only been a few times this season where you saw that, maybe at Arkansas. Dane Bergeron, another super chat. What do you think about the gold jerseys for the Vanderbilt game? I'm starting a petition to bring back the purple pants. I think the gold jerseys are ugly. Nike gives schools like LSU a ton of money in the contract, and it's all about them being able to sell more merchandise in stores.
Goes back to many, many years ago. Jared DiNardo got the word white jerseys back in. Of course, he owed Vanderbilt some money. What is dealing is you've got to tell them, hey, is it all right if we wear the white at home? Vandy said no. LSU wore the gold. And I think Spurrier did it one other time where he made LSU wear the purple instead of the white jerseys. All I can tell you is that you better hit gold with these next two games. And because if you lose to Vandy, and it's likely now, that line is going to come down.
Of all the either retro or special game jerseys that we've seen in the last 30 years, which one was any of them your favorite? Is there one that you like more than the other?
Look,
there's only one I liked.
What's that?
And you're probably going to nail the year. What was the year? Was it 09 when they had the old gold helmets?
Mm-hmm.
What year was that?
Look, the white
that was the only one.
The white stuff that they've worn earlier this year.
Richard Murphy was a running back.
Yeah, okay.
I remember that. And it was the old gold, the traditional gold that LSU actually wore, 100 years ago.
A lot of the older guys like myself and Dane and Tiger Shark. I'm 60 and I'm a man. Shark, appreciate you, what you bring to the table. We like the conventional unis, but the recruits like it. The players like it to change it up. But I don't care what they wear. I just want to see them play better. And Mike, I got to bring in this since we mentioned in everything from the weekend. a lot of people are kind of worried about the piss and vinegar, the fire, what's in your belly on the sidelines. I'm watching teams that were losing records. They're jumping up and down. The Dallas Cowboys are going to have to fire Mike McCarthy because they stink this year, but they still are involved. I'm not seeing a lot of involvement. And so, I said this to you after the game, and I don't know if it happened or not, but I hope they had a players meeting, and I hope that every one of them stood up and got it off their chest and said, look, let's move forward. Forget you can't do anything about what's already happened right now. But I want to see a little bit more P and V. I think LSU is playing soft and they're playing arrogant, and they got to get a little bit hungrier to me.
The problem is we're in mid-November and this is your team.
Right.
Like Brian Kelly says, this is your team. He says, I can't go on the waiver wire and get anybody else. This is your team. And so we're going to see how they finish out. These are going to be 2 tough games.
And you know what I say to that, what you just said?
What?
These coaches aren't changing either.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely ridiculous. 2, 3, and 8 are still getting the reps in the secondary. Absolutely ridiculous. Javian Toviano, Calvin Jackson, and Deshaun Spears should be playing appreciably more. We can go on and on and on. Who's the tight end? What you got at tight end if Mason Taylor leaves? What do you got? What are you grooming? 0. Nothing.
Yeah.
And so you talk about this is who we got. These coaches are who you have. And I don't think they've done a great job this year. Sorry.
Andy Whitaker, Fizz Buzz. All this program needs is better players, and those players are coming in. Right now, LSU has Notre Dame-type talent. LSU-type talent is either young or on the way. I agree with that. I
disagree in this respect, Fizz Buzz. They got to coach them up better. I don't think if you continue to make the mistakes with the personnel, I don't think it's going to get better. You've got to coach better. You got to play better. You got to coach better.
And my problem with that is I think there are some excellent coaches on the defensive side of the ball, and they're working with what they're working with.
I understand on that side. But seriously, why haven't you seen those safeties that have no experience? Ryan, I wish Jordan Gilbert was gone, and then Major Burns, they're all gone. So now you got virgins next year playing. Hadn't played at all. Why? Because you're not giving opportunities to guys to play. I think they've done a bad job of playing.
We might see them more in the next few weeks and then getting ready for whatever poo-poo bowl they end up in. And that's what it is.
Sorry, I can't justify the safety rotation or the wide receiver rotation.
Yep, Barry Barbia. You can't make a ribeye steak from ground beef.
Okay, agree with that. But you got to know how long to cook the.
Yeah, that's a good question, Critter Getter. Where is all the Louisiana speed? So I'm going to go back to what I was saying a little while ago about Cortez Hankton and the wide receiver. I can turn it around and say, okay, who are the great wide receivers in the last 20 years? Multiple first-round picks where it's been LSU's wide receiver you. Well, they're all Louisiana kids, aren't they? Name me one wide receiver that's just wiping the floor with the nation, and they're not at LSU. LSU's gotten them all. Aaron Anderson was the one that got away, and you got him back. Kendrick Law, he does a few nice things here and there for Alabama, but he's not a Jamar Chase or a Odell Beckham or on and on. So, part of it is Louisiana's not producing them. You can say that about a lot of different position spots, but that is my, I guess, you can also use that to take up for Cortez Hankton. Who is the next Jamar Chase that's coming out of Louisiana? Where is he? You've now gone multiple years now where you haven't had that. I mean, Malik Neighbors is your last one, right?
Yeah, and Brian Thomas Jr. Look, those guys are making good money on Sundays. C.D. Lamb was a Louisiana kid that ended up going to Oklahoma. He's playing for Dallas. Look, so much talent, so much speed. This is why I was saying when you were griping about recruiting, you would think with Bryce Underwood, they would be able to get some wide receivers that want to come in and catch the football with him. So that's a work in progress. But I just think it's a combination. You got to put it on the players. Will Campbell is not.
Well,
had
look,
a good year.
you get DeCorian Moore back in here for the Alabama game. I mean, that's an NIL play. That's all that is. It's not about him liking food in Oregon better than he does in Louisiana. I assure you.
Right.
Or they're giving better hospitality on the recruiting visit. That's not happening. It's all NIL with him. So, you spend the money and you win the NIL battle for him, then Cortez Hankton looks like a miracle worker.
Well, look, Shelton Sampson, you told me from the get-go, Calicut kid, 6'3.5", 6'4", 190. He's got to do the work and get on the field, and we haven't seen anything for him in 2 years. Callan Billiot has got the size 6'3", 190, redshirting this year. Teron Francis, kid coming in. You seen him? What kind of player is he?
He's going to need some time.
Okay. Meadows, the kid, the 6'5" kid from Vegas.
Going to flip.
Going to probably flip to Notre Dame, you hear?
Oh, yeah, or Michigan, but I think it's Notre Dame.
Okay. You got to find some
Notre
guys.
Dame folks in here, let us know where he's going.
Well, look, I got to be honest with you. I've watched Notre Dame a little bit, and it's hard because LSU's in the SEC every week, but they look pretty good. This is the highest they've been ranked. I think they're number 6. Oh, by the way, CFP is coming on right now, so probably got some new rankings. People can throw that out on the screen, but it's across the board. You've got to coach them better, but you got to recruit better and got to make better decisions, retaining some of this talent. I asked a question about they wanted Marlon Martinez to lose weight. He was 330. He played when Charles Turner was hurt, but they let him go. And that's a key position on that line. Now, if Emory does go, you got to replace both tackles and both guards. And so, here you go in year 4. Once again, is next year a rebuilding year in your opinion?
It is.
I always say, I don't know. I want to see what they look like. But you're going to probably say it's a rebuilding year.
You're going to be fussing at me all next August. You don't know till you see him.
Well, you did know this year because they played and coached like crap.
All right, here we go. Let me talk about Stroube's. We're proud to have them as a sponsor for us. 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. Stroube's prides itself on providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Look at that cowboy ribeye up on the screen. One of the best steaks I've had in a long time. Locally owned, right here in Baton Rouge. Taking a high level of pride in the service they provide you that you don't get at national chains. And full menu, specialty meats, black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip. They got the dry egg pork chop, a lot of great fish dinners, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, much more. Book your reservation online tonight at Strubes.com, and please let them know TigerBait sent you in. And I'm starving. I could eat that right now. Dane Bergeron says, bring back the big cat drill. Y'all do me a favor. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the show. And if you're not subscribed already to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. Barry Barbier, if we lose to Vandy and Tiger State, maybe Brian Kelly will resign. That's not going to happen. But Bengal Tiger, we can't keep making the mental mistakes. That's on the coaches. But let's be honest, some players react and some people freeze when they are placed in a critical position. Pearl River Fury, this coach is way too hard-headed and acts like he has been in the SEC forever, and we as a fan base is stupid.
Hey, real quick, let me go. Oregon, once again, the CFP just came out. Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4, Indiana 5, Notre Dame 6, Alabama 7, Miami 8, Ole Miss 9, Georgia 10. Is that from last week or this week? Tennessee 11. I will have to verify it, but 4 teams in the SEC. You're thinking Texas, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss?
See, I think all those teams are beatable.
No, but I'm saying they're probably all going to get in the playoff.
Yeah.
In the 12-team playoff. So
LSU be in the Music City Bowl.
And you'll be going to Nashville.
No. Oh. Outlaw Carding. If next year's a rebuilding year, then maybe we should be rebuilding some of his coaching staff. all we heard all year long was, oh, look out, Brian Kelly, third year, Brian Kelly. Let me go back to this question Brad David had. Mike, what would LSU's record be last year if Nuss was the quarterback? Jaden Daniels saved Kelly from an embarrassing season. I absolutely believe that. Part of what is carried BK first few years is Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels masked a lot of LSU's problems. I believe that. I mean, what would the record have been if Nussmeier? I don't know, 7-5. I don't know that I'd go any higher than that.
Well, you don't know what Nussmeier you're going to get. That's the problem. The problem that people are having right now, Mike, and I think the coach has got to help him. They got that virtual reality that they use, and Jaden Daniels actually talked about that, making him. Now he worked his butt off, and they all went to California and through and all that, and they work. He's got his own coach and all that, and he played 5 years. But you've got to find a way to get Nuss's confidence back. And all the quarterbacks I talk to, Mike, there's one thing that will get it back, and that is completions and success. And let's be honest, they have got to do a better job inside the red zone.
Jackson Carter, Quincy Wiggin has been great for Colorado.
What?
Has he? Man, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched Colorado.
I've watched him a little bit.
But I went back through the first month of the season.
He didn't have many stats.
He was even in the player participation, but one time. Has he been going crazy the last couple of weeks that I'm unaware of? Because the first third of the season, he wasn't even out there hardly.
And look, they gave every opportunity.
I mean, I hope he is. I love Quincy. I want him to be successful.
Hey, surprised. Everybody knows that Deion and Colorado are 8-2 right now. So
there you go. Andy Whitaker at Jackson Carter. I don't even think he's even played.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny girl. Wiggins is on the practice team at Colorado. Like I said, I hadn't gone and looked, but I did after the first 5 weeks or so. I went game by game to see what he was doing, if anything. And I think it was only one game he was on the player participation chart.
Yeah. They did get a receiver from Louisiana, but look, Shadir Sanders and of course
everybody's going nuts. I got messages from all my Lafayette people today. Everybody's saying I got this source and that source that Walker Howard's going to be at ULL.
Well, that probably makes sense because I got to
so
tell you.
Now he's got to battle the Beal kid from Catholic High.
Well, look, though, I tell you that backup for Ole Miss, he's a big lefty, man. He has got a rocket for an arm.
That dude's better than Dart, I think.
He is good. He's
legit.
Good. Now, we got to wait to see what he does in the long run. But speaking of that, Mike, let's talk about the quarterback situation real quick, just for a second. Nuss, I think, has to come back next year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's no way for him to go on Sundays right now. He just hadn't done the body of work. So Underwood comes in. Do you think there will be a battle in the spring and Kelly says Nuss is our starter, or do you think this job is open?
It's wide open.
It's got to be wide open. It ought to be wide open.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's going to be some departures in that room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Collins, probably one of them.
Yeah. Ricky Collins is going to the portal.
We love that young man and his mama. But just don't, if he's not playing now with Underwood coming in, I don't know what kind of future he can feel like he's got here.
Mike, do you think Tradez will skip the bowl game to join Matt McMahon? I don't. I don't. And I'll be honest with you, man.
That's hard.
And that's why we're going early tonight. I don't know about Buddy, but I think he's like me. I'm excited to see this LSU men's team going forward. That win over Kansas State last week was man, were you excited to watch that? That was to play like that on the road in that environment against that team of that caliber. And really, they own that team from beginning to end. And Kansas State tried to make a run, and that team wouldn't let them.
I saw it on the illegal stream, and it was a little foggy, but Cam Carter can flat out light it up. LSU probably needs another big. They got a 7-footer that's hurt right now. And of course, Terrell Ward is going bye-bye. But, man, I was impressed with the way they played together. They had
Man,
10 turnovers
when
in the second half.
have you seen ball movement and passing like that?
That first half, I've never seen the ball movement like that since McMahon's been here. Not a lot of dribbling, a lot of space, and a lot of ball movement. They're fun to watch.
In shape, they were at least a step ahead of Kansas State on everything.
So
look, I don't know what they're going to end up doing, but that win right there is going to go a long way if they're at the end counting, computer rankings and everything. What do they call it? Quad one and all that. That was a huge win for Matt McMahon.
They're exciting to watch, and a lot of new players, both women and men. A lot of new guards.
I haven't been this fired up for LSU men's basketball since one of Will Wade's teams.
Sure.
And we'll see. I think there's a reason to get excited for LSU men's basketball. FizzBuzz, they controlled the game. They look like they have a lot to build on throughout the year.
Hey, I got to ask you real quick while you're getting more comments. Have you ever seen such a disparity? And, everybody, you got to do a show right afterwards. Of course, you get to it quicker when it's on the road, and we love all that. Over 10,000 views, which you guys are still counting. But 92 plays for LSU, 43.
That's the craziest box score I've ever
I've
seen.
never seen LSU have 49 more plays in a game. I've never seen the disparity of 42 minutes
and then,
to 18.
And then when you go down all those stats and you think, okay, when I get down to the turnovers, that's going to be the story. Well, that wasn't there either. It's the craziest box score you've ever seen.
But
if you didn't know the score, you would say LSU mopped the floor with them.
But once again, you got to get out of that mindset. And the Notre Dame people will tell you, BK's stubborn. He's a stubborn old bastard that has won a lot of football games. But what's going to light a fire in here to him to try something different? Quit playing for field goals. They got to help Joe in the red zone. They just got to help Joe with the play calling. And we saw for the first time him with the sheet and all of that. Now, it happened so fast, I don't know how much he could override a play because with the communication, it gets cut off with just 15 seconds. But I think that it'll be interesting to see what we see moving forward. But Joe in year one.
And it's another deal we're not having a running quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the great thing about Underwood coming in.
Yep.
We'll put pressure on the defense. Oh, by the way, you better make sure you account for Diego Pavia. And what did BK say about his defense this week? Assignment football. How many times have they, Mike, they win, half of them went one way, the other half went the other way. You better communicate and know your assignments
Well, I
this
don't know
week.
if you heard. He said they got to coach him better.
Well.
That was a new one. All right. Here we go. LSU fans, tell you about the best place to get all your officially licensed LSU gear. And if you're one of those people who want one of those new LSU gold jerseys that the team's going to wear this weekend, they've got them in stock at Alumni Hall. They've got it all. The new Nike gear, Champion, Johnny O, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, much more. Shop at their store in Perkins Row or online at alumnihall.com. I have this discount code to share with my friends and subscribers. So when you shop, use the code TigerBait, all one word, TigerBait, in store or online, and you're going to get 10% off your purchase. Go shop with my friends over at Alumni Hall, and you use the code TigerBait to save. And you're going to get free shipping on all orders over $99. You got the two for $38 LSU T-shirts on all those tables up front in the lobby area. Go spend some time at Alumni Hall in Perkins Row. I'm telling you, they've got the highest quality LSU products, gear, all the new quarter zip pullovers. Hopefully we get a little bit more cooler weather than we're getting. We're getting in the evening, but I'd like to get in the lower 60s.
Tomorrow's coming in and
but it's always at night.
Yeah.
I want some cold weather during the day.
Sure.
So shop over at Alumni Hall, y'all. Lee Hunter, Brian Kelly isn't built for the SEC. He's a seasoned politician. Why won't they run more? You got a lot of problems with that, but I sure do like what Caden Durham does when he's got a chance, and he's not even 100%. He's everything he was billed to be coming out of high school, and then you're about to add JT Lindsey and Harlem Berry. We're going to see what Caleb Jackson does. We're going to see what happens with Trey Holly, and we're going to see what happens with John Emery. Of course, Josh Williams' eligibility will be up. Ryan Stadler, the RPO game not being there with a mobile quarterback is killing us when we get down there in the red zone. And I love Nuss, but we're not giving the defense anything else to watch for.
No.
And then you combine that the fact that you don't have a whole slew of wide receivers with some height. Lacey, I don't know what's going on there. Aaron Anderson's 5'8". Xavier Thomas is like a small guy. Got CJ Daniels back. That looked good a little bit last week, but the wide receiver core is not up to LSU standards either.
But that is a perfect example of what you just talked about a microcosm of this season. Chris Hilton ended the game, ball right in his lap. He drops it. He would have had his foot down. They would still been behind, but the deficit would have been down to 3 or 4. But Karen Lacey, had an attitude all year ever since he did that stupid stuff, which hurt him in the first game. Dropped 6 or 7 balls, but CJ Daniels gets his first touchdown catch of the year, and instead of Karen Lacey acting like he's going out for a receiver, he kind of semi-blocks, and they call him for the pick play. That is a microcosm of what's happened. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. And look, how many games you thought that they played up to their potential? And the Arkansas game.
Arkansas game is the only game.
The only game you go from start
had
to
no
finish.
business beating Ole Miss. That was luck.
No. Well, they found a way
Sellers
to
gets
win.
hurt against South Carolina. If he doesn't get hurt, you lose that one.
But they still won.
Arkansas is the only game that's the complete game. And I might be having a little amnesia about maybe some ugly points in that one. But
well, look, they were down 17-0 on the road to South Carolina. I know the kid got hurt at quarterback, but I'm still going to give him credit. But here's the problem when you go back. Nuss was throwing the ball down the field. They threw the ball 47 times. And Mike, the numbers are minuscule. He's coming up. He's seeing. He's going through his reads, and he's checking down a guy 3 yards and 4 yards, not going down the field anymore. So it's a lot of problems, and I think we can all see as we watch during the sidelines. There's been a lot of P&V on the sidelines.
Kenny Haynes, I've been saying it all week, and Kenny has come through. I said I can't find anybody who is defending BK, who's going to the mat, who's saying you're crazy. He's a great coach. Kenny Haynes. All these opinions on Kelly are killing me. Laugh online with a super chat.
Well, Kenny, we respect you as a sponsor, as a legal expert, but everybody's, and this is what I love about football. This is what I was trying to explain to you earlier. And you had a pretty adamant attitude about this team is going to struggle, and I wanted to see how it played out. But I'll just ask the professor and the legal expert. So what has Brian Kelly done this year, Shark, to win a football game? His coaching, what has he done to win a game this year? Where you said, did you see what BK did? Now, I give him props for Alabama in 2022. But seriously, tell me a game where you said, oh, man, did you see what he did?
Yeah.
I'm asking Shark. Give me Brian Kelly's best game other than Arkansas. And they beat up on poor Sam Pittman and the Hogs, and they played well. But have you seen Brian Kelly cutting edge, top 10 coaching in the last 3 games? Have you, Sharp?
Okay, now Andy Whitaker says, I've been a staunch defender of BK in recent weeks. But Andy, you got to come, man. Come clean. It was a month ago you were saying they were going 11-1. Just watch. You can't flip it around when they now are heading towards 8-4, 7-5. Sometimes you got to admit that you ain't exactly happy either. You can't be when you were thinking 11-1 a month ago.
I give Coach Kelly the benefit of the doubt. That's one of the reasons why I was telling you, give him a chance. I haven't seen cutting edge coaching from him and his assistants this year. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yep. Trucking with Casper, me personally, I am not too concerned even now. Even last year when we switched the DC, it was a talent problem more than a coaching problem. BK overachieved, and this team is still very young.
I violated that overachieved the first year, but I'll ask you something. You remember?
Let me add, he says, this class, if we keep it together, will be the difference. Yeah, and I said that earlier in the show. He's not going anywhere.
And nobody wants him to go anywhere.
And by the way,
it's not feasible.
Yeah, I'm not, just because you're not happy with the way things are, I'm just saying there's going to be some more growing pains. Don't think that it's highly probable that the sour tasting you have in your mouth is going to get totally rinsed out in 2025, because they've got a bit of a ways to go. But this 25 class, and we'll see what they do in the portal, and another strong 26 class of 26. 2026 is the year where if he's not in the playoffs in 2026, then that might be the end. I'm gonna call it right. That very well could be the end.
One other point I want to make about BK,
unless you get to 26 and there's an injury or whatever, and there's some circumstances, or you get to the playoffs. I mean, but you got to get to the playoffs. But but sooner or later you got to start looking like you're an SEC championship team.
Well, I'm just going back to one play in the Alabama game, and they really called a bad play on third down. It was third and long, and they threw it out to Durham, but it wasn't. The angle was bad, the route was bad, and they had 15 seconds left in halftime, Mike. You remember what happened?
Go ahead.
Took the headset off and got booed. First time he's ever been booed in Tiger Stadium. Got booed. Yeah. Put the tape in. Kenny, that's why I'm saying BK has not had a good year. You got to go down fighting, clawing, scratching, and I'm sick.
I will say this. I feel for him because he's got these mandatory media things he's got to do, his pressers, and he really can't say what's the truth. I mean, you don't think he's in the building with his staff saying, man, we have got to kill it in recruiting. I hope there's some really good ones in the portal. I mean, he believe me, they know what they're working with. They know where their issues are with Jims and Joes. He's just not going to come out in a press conference and say, the fact of the matter is I don't have any SEC talent on the defensive side of the ball.
Mike, they interviewed him before the game at Florida, at the end of the first quarter at Florida, and going into halftime at Florida.
Okay.
You know what? I don't think he deserves it. Get your nose to the grind. Start being a little more aggressive. What do you think he's telling the players when you don't try to score before halftime? You take the headset off and say, F it, and you leave 15 seconds. He's not showing confidence in his players. I just think that
I think there is a part. There's a part of that. I don't think there is confidence in those players. They've got a big deficiency back there.
Well, look, I want to see him do well, but he is going to have to change because he is way too conservative on offense. And Bryce Underwood is not coming in here to run the ball every second down right up the gut.
Yeah. Capital City Grill, folks. Hit that brunch on Sunday. You're going to see me there. Right there at 100 Lafayette Street, downtown Baton Rouge. Capital City Grill is your ideal lunch and dinner stop for your casual dining experience. Features a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pasta, everything priced at $30 or below for an affordable experience. And don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch from 11 to 2. Go to capitalcitygrill.net. You can check out the menu. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. And during the week, great lunch spot, club sandwiches, burgers, po' boys, just fantastic food. I've never had anything below an above average meal there.
No, they don't get the criticism that BK and his team is getting because they're so consistent, Mike. I've told you the story. Went outside on the patio on a Sunday. It was absolutely fantastic. Always consistent. Mike will tell you, best chicken and waffles in all of Baton Rouge.
Oh, yeah. Just ask for the syrup on the side so you can control it. Trucking with Casper with a super chat. We have to hold on to this class. If we don't, I think it's sooner than 26 that we get rid of BK. if we lose this class and lose to Vandy, I wouldn't be. Well, the problem, Casper, is it's not only does it need time for them to get the talent in the program, you also need to run through some years for the buyout. I mean, it's a matter of math. You're not going to unload 50, 60, $70 million on a buyout. I mean, what is a more? I mean, what is the number where you could see LSU actually doing it? 30, 35? I mean, 38? I mean, you got to have some years roll off to where you even think about talking that way. But I think 26 is going to be the year where the schedule flips back, and he's going to have a couple of great recruiting classes with this top-notch defensive staff that he's got in year one. I mean, you got to let these coaches who've now been here with their first recruiting class get another one in and another couple of transfer portal runs as well. Casper, thank you for that super chat. Kenny Haynes with another super chat. What I'm talking about is calling him overmatched or lazy or can't win big games.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
What's his record in the top 10, Kenny? Now he's 3-1. He's 3-1 in Baton Rouge against top 10 in 3 years. He's got a winning record. Got his ass kicked by Alabama. They were actually number 11 at the time, so it didn't count as the top 10. So, Kenny, if you can make your case for BK in big games, they've lost 3 consecutive opening games. That's a big game. He beat Saban in 2022. He beat Lane Kiffin this year and in 2022. I can't say how Counselor Kenny, I'm 60 and I'm a man, thinks that BK has been great in big games. Boy, the Notre Dame people would have some opinion about that. I got to see him prove it, Kenny.
Where's he better at football or on the golf course?
You know, I think that's ridiculous. He loves to play golf, but he doesn't play golf right now. Okay, that's something he does in the summer. Now, here's the question: does he go to every high school? Has he met every high school coach here, like Kirby Smart or Nick Saban would be doing? Okay, so that's where the difference is. But if you think he's playing golf right now, it's what he does in the summer. It is a hobby of his. He likes it, but
no chance he tries to sneak in 9 holes early in the morning.
No, he's not even thinking about golf right now.
I agree with you, but he does it a lot in the spring and summer.
Look, I want people to understand something with the negativity. We want you to support LSU. We're not sitting here pulling against LSU and hoping they lose so Mike can be right with his prediction. But you got to understand that when you have 92 plays and the other team has 43 and you have the ball 42 minutes to their 18, you shouldn't be losing that damn football game. That's common sense, and that comes down to coaching and playing. But these coaches got to call better plays. They've got to get these guys. They've got to nudge them off this bad spot. And we're seeing him chew on Chris Hilton. We're seeing Karen Lacey screaming at him. All this, Houston, we got a problem. We got a problem right now, and you got to fix it.
Kenny comes back with a super chat. Buddy, who had the better players?
When?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's referring to, how he's meaning there. But
did he ever, he beat Nick Saban when Alabama had a better team in 2022. Name me one other win, Kenny, that LSU pulled off the upset and beat a team that was better in personnel. Just one other one. I haven't seen it.
Did they have any business losing to USC in the opener this season?
No, had no business losing that game.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Kiffin's had a lifetime contract with Sharman. He's soft and all of his teams are soft. By the way, they've gone to hell in a handbasket.
Trucking with Casper with a super chat. If we lose the last 2 games and fall completely apart, it's very possible a couple of our top recruits flips. I won't be surprised. They got to avoid that. They absolutely have.
I don't buy that logic anyway.
Yeah.
Look, they know what they're getting. They're locked in. LSU's a brand. LSU puts you on Sundays. LSU it got a lot of positives. So I think the fans, you've said this to me many times, fans look at a loss in entirely different than recruiting.
That's true. That's true. Casper, thank you for that. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out, please. And go to TigerBait, subscribe. I've got a lot of recruiting updates piled up. I'm going to start rolling them out in the morning. Tomorrow's going to be a huge day of recruiting on TigerBait. I'm going to flip the whole front page with all the stuff that we have from the last few days and over the weekend. A lot of video as well. So check that out tomorrow. If you're not subscribed there, try us out for $1 at tigerbait.com. We'll be back here, Preston and I, for a post-game Vanderbilt. And so we'll see you guys then. And y'all have a good rest of the week. Good night.